We have Misha Joshi, Senior Director, Professional Services, and Renuka Rajagopal, Senior Director, Real Estate and Workplace India, VMware Software India Private Limited. Misha and Renuka, over to you.
Okay, so let's get started. Thank you. A big thank you for recognizing VMware as one of the top 5 for the innovative practices at Diversity Awards 2021. A big thank you for Misha, myself, and team VMware. So let's get started on the diversity practices as we look at it from VMware. Just a small intro to VMware before we get started on in terms of what we do as our innovative practices and some of the policies. At the core of everything that we do at VMware is our belief that software has the power to unlock new opportunities for people and our planet. And that's the reason why our software forms a digital foundation that powers the apps, services, and experiences that are transforming every business, every sector, and every country around the world. So as we move on to slide 5, so what do we really mean when we say diversity, equity, and inclusion? So, and why does it matter to VMware? So diversity comes in all shapes and sizes, visible dimensions and invisible dimensions. And we also know that as we acknowledge that, it's also about acknowledging the fact that we don't have an equal playing field. So many reasons for it. Could be due to systemic barriers like access to education and healthcare, and also the workplace barriers that we have. That there's biases in the system that needs to be deconstructed, as well as some of our process and decisions that have already been made and needs to be revamped as we look ahead. Inclusion is all about our actions and behaviors, and it's about having a culture where our employees are recognized and valued. It's an important area of focus and priority for us. And as we look at year 2030, we have 30 goals, which is aligned to environment, sustainability, and governance, of which diversity, equity, and inclusion is a major important area that we are focusing on. We also know the fact that we cannot sprint a marathon, so we are here in it for a long term. So our practices, the innovative practices that we are working on, that we are developing, and as we go ahead, is more focused on this fact that it needs to reach a wider community. It needs to be sustained for long term, and also it needs to deconstruct some of the biases that are existing, as well as the major factor that it is to collaborate for a broader impact. So what is VM inclusion for us? While our DNI diversity, equity, and inclusion journey is from the top, it's with our executive e-staff, and it's being reviewed at a global level. What is being done at each geography is being led by the employees, is being led by the business. So for us, our inclusion journey is a business-driven enterprise initiative for better business outcomes, and it's being driven by employees and guided by HR. So that explains why Misha and myself, we are here. She's from Professional Services Organization, and I'm from Workplace, and we lead this jointly for VMware India. So how do we do this? How do we run this globally across? How do we run this initiative? And how do we have more employees participating as part of the globally as well as demographically? We have various pods. Some of them are based on the geography. There are geographical pods, as well as there are demographic pods that help us run these initiatives, run these programs across globally. So pods stand for Power of Difference Communities, and these Power of Difference Communities, which is both geographic pods and global pod, demographic pods, these are being chaired by the business groups. We volunteer to run these initiatives to bring the employees together from across the various business groups, across industry, across locations, across business groups. We come together, and it's, while it is aligned to the business strategy, this is completely a volunteering group that runs together, but it is guided by the council, and also it is supported by the advice by HR. So that is how, we run inclusion initiatives across for VMware globally. And as we look at these pods, most essential factors, the fact that we come together, we sustain together, and we build it and make it from, like being a smaller group to a larger group, and how do we sustain bigger initiatives as we go ahead. So as we look at how do we align our goals, what's a big mandate that we have? The big mandate that is to align our goals to the company as well as our ESG goals in year 2030. It's focused on building communities. Misha, that's the next slide. I don't know whether it's only mine that's not moved. Focus on building communities, and it's a safe space to bring your authentic self to work, to retain the best of the talents and increase representation of diverse talent, as well as to foster an inclusive culture and leverage and cross collaborate. That is the big picture that we have. And look, what are the practices or what are the policies that we currently have? I did hear Sonali speaking about a lot of policies, and most of it's the same for us. Our inclusive hiring and retention, all our job descriptions are inclusive. The hiring process is inclusive. We do have a diverse talent to be there in the top 3 of the final the candidates that we are looking at, as well as we also need to make sure that every panel that we have is a diverse panel. And this is also being looked at, this is also being measured. We do have a sexual harassment policy that we need to, every employee needs to go through that policy and needs to acknowledge that after the first training that they go through. In terms of the global respectful workplace policy, this again is made to not to do anti-discrimination or anti-harassment or anti-retaliation. And this policy, again, it's called as a global respectful workplace policy, which again, we need to make sure that once we go through it every year, we go ahead and refresh it. The new one that has come into play is a future of work policy. And this has got three segments: the workplace, as well as tools. And here what we are looking at is it guides employees and teams as we work in a distributed work environment. What needs to be, what are the things that needs to change as we get into a distributed workplace environment? That is, these policies are coming together. It's work in progress, but this is something that's enabling, also enabling the fact that we do have, we can the lot of restrictions that we had as we look at disability hiring or, like any other hiring, which we thought was a challenge. All that is becoming more inclusive as we look at some of these policies coming into play. Flexible workplace guidelines, again, this policy already existed. We have the part-time policy, the flexi time, as well as a compressed work hours and work from home. Currently, the work from home is being looked at as work from anywhere. Then the leave policies, I heard Sonali covering that. In terms of life-changing events and the policies around it, the parental policy, which is for the expectant mother, it is 6 weeks for the same thing to do with adoption as well as surrogacy. Even for, there's a policy as well which covers divorce as well as bereavement. The paternal policy is to do with 20 days. Employees are also encouraged to take an additional 3 to 6 months as part of their maternal policy. If they want to extend their leave, that's also being, that's also in practice, and that's also being encouraged. And then as we look at, and the mental well-being program that is being developed more, in that is work in progress in terms of, we really want to include more aspects of it. We have employees participating and giving their feedback in terms of what are the additional things that we want to look at as we work into a distributed workplace environment that is being included or that is being added on as we look at the mental well-being policy. I think the big changes that we had over last year has been the pandemic leave policy. We had an additional 10 days coming apart from our annual leave, apart from the casual leave, medical leave. Apart from all of that, we had a 10 days annual leave, which is called the pandemic leave, that was given in 2020. And year 21, as we look at current year, there's a 5 days leave for pandemic leave. And apart from that, what we call as the epic week of, which is an yearly shutdown that happens at the year end. And also every quarter, there is one day that's called as an Epic 2-day holiday that is scheduled. This is in the middle of the quarter that we have a Friday that is being declared off, that's across the globe the same day, so that we do not have somebody working and someone not working, and the fact that somebody has to be around at their workplace because someone else is working. So the practice here is it's coming to a 3 days off once in a quarter, and we call it the Epic Day off. This is over and above all other leave policies that exist that's come into play. Yes, so, and as we move on to the next slide, let's look at some of the programs that we have. And Misha, do you want to take on from here?
Sure, no problem. Thank you, Renuka. So beautifully articulated. I was just remembering we got an Epic 2 time off during the last week of last year, and because the whole company was off, it was genuinely relaxing. Nobody was messaging, emailing each other. There were no calls, nothing. It was really, really good time. And as Renuka mentioned, I have a day job. I head up the professional services team for VMware in India. But in addition to that, I'm part of the Women Pod. So I participate at the VM inclusion initiatives through the business and try and make a difference to the larger women in technology initiatives across. It is my dream that there are more women that come into the tech space, stay in the tech space, grow in the tech space, and eventually become leaders. And so I do a lot of that. And I'm just one example of how VMware does this with all of the employees and all of the leaders. Everybody at our level actually has a goal to go above and beyond our role and do something in the diversity and inclusion space. So there's what you see here is probably half of the programs that we run as a result of those. And these are a combination of internal as well as external programs. So again, as part of the pod, I'm also the thought leadership co-chair within the Women Pod, which means that I'm responsible for making sure that our initiatives are publicly spoken about, that they are socialized with our customers as well. We make our customers and partners a part of the journey as well. So if you see here, we have aligned our programs to the pillars that we spoke about a while ago, which is culture, women in particular from a gender standpoint, because it is such an important thing to give it the necessary focus. We also focus on disability. We have a lot of initiatives around pride, and then we also have one of the newest pods, which is veterans, because there's people with a completely different mindset, right? So when people think with different perspectives, I think it really brings magic to the table. So what I'll do is walk you through a few of our very unique initiatives, and I'll pick up the Women Pod to start with. So this year we had the second edition of our flagship Women Leaders in Technology event, which is called VMware Nirman, where we had more than 2,000 people actually attending. And so when we talk about inclusion, right, we while it's focused towards women, everybody is welcome to attend because the topics are very generic. They are also to generate to inspire more women to come into the tech space and grow and network in their careers, but B, also to keep them inspired, right? Keep that conversation going, and for people beyond women to be able to come in and see and get sensitized to where we can make a difference. So this is a place where we get our customers to come and speak, we get our partners to come and speak with us, we get our employees to showcase their skills, and we also have external speakers. And it's a combination of activities, talks, inspiring panel discussions, etc. The second one I'd like to touch upon here is the VM Inclusion Tara program. This is something which is actually comes from all of our hearts. It's a program that we enable women who have been off work for a period of 6 months to be able to learn digital transformation through free VMware learning programs and get themselves certified to a level that they become eligible for being able to apply for jobs in the industry. We've also come up with partnerships with multiple organizations, and here is again where we make all of our strategic partnerships, customers, and our employees become evangelists of the program, partner with us and enable. We have, I think, a little over 9,000 women today who are enabled through this. We will take it to, our dream is to take it to at least 15,000 and then develop the phase 2 of the program. But it's very inspirational. I would encourage you to get your friends and family to go and look up VM Inclusion Tara and actually register anybody who's been on a break for 6 months and is now looking to get back into the industry. A particular call out that I want to call here is, recently I also discovered that there are people from the non-tech space who've enrolled in the Tara program, learnt about our products and gone back to their respective functions. So let's say, for example, someone from finance has come, taken these trainings, got themselves certified, gone back into the finance function and been able to drive digital transformation while being inside the function, and of course got themselves back into the industry. What a wonderful impact that it has had. The next one is the VMware Nakshatra program. This is our women return, official return to work program. While in Tara we enable women to be able to return to work, in Nakshatra we actually give them on the job 6 months of work experience. It's a paid internship. They come on board, they learn the nuances of the job, and at the end of the 6 months they go through a process where they could apply for jobs within VMware, or of course if nothing, they have the experience to go back into the industry. And so many women have started benefiting from this program because we are not contributing, it's not restricted to being at VMware alone, but we are also contributing to the larger community. Then we have the VMware Nalanda program. This one is focused at universities, where we're going and socializing the VMware products and technology, and being the VMware that we are, I think we can take our products there, and that's the best we can do. So we've been enabling the students through trainings as well as certification programs, and continues to evolve. We also have vThrive, which is a part of VMware Nirman now, that is focused on women in support and services. This year we will also kick off women in sales, and then we have Women Who Code, which is focused at the developer community, but the kind of participation we see there, VMware has been a key sponsor to the Women Who Code chapter, and we've seen a lot of community involvement out there. So it's not just for people to want to remain in the tech space, but even for our own employees to look at it and take inspiration from the wonderful women and people who come and speak at these forums, who evangelize them, who work with us through these programs and so on. I want to quickly touch upon a couple of things on the culture space. Internally, we have multiple mentoring programs. One of them is Hustle. There is one program which is the V Studio, which is a theater-based learning. We have a beautiful group that has theater skills. They come together, they play these small skits on various topics around both diversity and inclusion, and the kind of topics that they pick up are very, very interesting. I know Renuka personally leads a lot of that, and and here is where the business enabling diversity and inclusion truly comes together through all of these programs at VMware. So I'll stop there. We had 20 minutes to present and want to leave some time for questions. And Renuka, if you want to add anything else.
Yeah, I also, thanks, Misha, beautifully presented. If you just
go back.
Yeah. So as we look at this, we have all the initiatives that we are running. We are brought it under 5 pillars in terms of, depending on the nature of the initiatives that employees are passionate about driving in. They bring together the programs. Some of these programs have been actually brought on the table by them. It goes through a discussion within the group, which has got around 70 plus volunteers. And some of them takes off, and the people who are the employees who are bringing it they actually build a team together to run those initiatives across the year. So a hustle that Misha covered, which is in its 4th year right now. Initially, when we started off as a women program, as women mentees, but mentors being both men and women. But the feedback that we got after 2 years was that, like we have to be all inclusive. So the 3rd year and the 4th year, the program was run all inclusive. Some of these programs, in the same way, vStudio has its own learning. The cultural subjects that it touched over the years, 2 years of its running has been hugely impactful. We also performed in to external audience as well. And in terms of, as we look at disability, pride, and veterans, all of these are in different stages of maturity as you see it now. Some of them have been running it for 3 to 4 years, but then the last 3, it's been over the last 1 to 2 years. So the focus here has been more on driving the sensitization and awareness programs, bringing in more people into it, bringing in, having the hiring managers go through the trainings, having as colleagues, how do you have to be what's the sensitization and awareness programs that you need to go through. So they are differently packaged based on who the audience is, what is it that you want to convey, and what's the impact that you want to create. So most of these programs are fine-tuned to create the, first is to see whose audience, what do we want to convey, and what is the impact that we want to create. Actually, those things drive most of these programs. Like Misha rightly said, we have our leadership, we have HR, we have the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Council, and the employees and the businesses coming together. So that really makes it successful as we go from now to what we need to achieve in 2030. So that's where we are. Happy to take any questions. So these are some of the logos that teams themselves have created and gone through the brand and the communications team before it has come out. Yeah.
Great, thank you so much, Renuka. Thanks, Misha. Thanks. We really, I'm sure the audience had a great input to be taking away. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Sure. Thanks a lot for the opportunity, and once again, thanks.
Thank you so much.